All right, and we are live. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Chris, and this is my channel, We Love Comics. And if you know anything about my channel, I am not afraid to talk about topics that some people just may not want to touch for fear of being labeled, attacked, bullied, or what have you. Keep in mind, this is my point of view, this is my opinion, does not mean yours will be the same, nor does it have to be. So all I ask is people listen to what I have to say with an open mind, and then draw your own conclusions from there, without the use of just using your emotions and group thought, which luckily 99.9% of my subscribers are not that way. Very happy about that. And this video, and I always give a shout out when somebody inspires me, is a comment that somebody left. It's one of my subscribers, and their name is Wild Child, so shout out to you for this. And they wrote a comment, says it's regards to my little rant about the movies in the video I made late last night, which, by the way, I got a lot of good positive feedback on that, so I might do that again. Well, I definitely will do that again, especially being an insomniac. But he writes, or she writes, I don't want to assume, says, in my opinion, I feel movies going forward will start to use new characters from both Marvel and DC, and it makes more sense financially, as they will sell comics, movies, shirts, etc. If they use old characters, it's not going to be as lucrative for them. Now, this is in regards to the statement that I made last night regarding the fact of how I think it's basically, at the very least, it's lazy writing, but it's at most outright just blatant SJW kind of stuff, where they're taking characters that are well known and just rebooting them and creating a different gender or a different race to play the character. And if you are somebody that doesn't agree with that, you're automatically called a racist or a homophobic or anything like that. And that's just, to me, a cop-out from critical thinking. Because if you look, for example, of like movies like Ghostbusters, movies like Ocean's 8, if you look at comic heroes that switch genders like Iron Man and Thor, there is room for two separate characters. Like, for me, like they're doing now, I think they're finally starting to understand their mistakes, where they have the original Thor, and instead of just eliminating that character and saying, well, Thor's now a woman, why couldn't you just make another version of that character? So you please both people and both types, instead of saying, well, this is how it is, and if you don't like it, too bad. And that's why I chose the image that you see on your screen. Because let me ask anyone on the female or male side that loves Wonder Woman, how many people would go ballistic if the next Wonder Woman movie was portrayed by this gentleman you see in this image? Now, all of a sudden, Wonder Woman is now a man. So, I want people to understand that, like somebody of me who is old school, I mean, I'm 47, I'll be 48 in November. I love the original Ghostbusters. I refuse to see the new one just because they say, well, here is the new one, and now it's just women. To me, that doesn't say anything about a new story. It doesn't get me to fall in love with these characters when they say, oh, remember that old thing you used to love? Well, we're going to spit all over that, and we're just going to make this new and improved version, and you're an idiot if you don't agree. How many women would be in an uproar and outraged? And I say women mostly because more women tend to follow Wonder Woman than most men. That doesn't mean there aren't men, but you got to go by the majority. More women like Wonder Woman as an iconic character to follow than men. That's why if you ever go to a Comic-Con or see images of people playing cosplay, it's very rare to see a gentleman like that dressed up as Wonder Woman. Mostly will be women. So if that if facts offend you, then I'm sorry about that, but I cannot, I can't pander to somebody. But I want it to be understood that, in my opinion, it goes both ways. There's a reason why a character like Tony Stark has a superhero persona called Iron Man. And when you all of a sudden turn it into an African-American female, that does not mean I have a problem with women, and it doesn't mean I have a problem with somebody's skin color. I grew up with Iron Man being Tony Stark. And for it to be something other than that means you're taking away from what I loved and what I was growing up enjoying, and then not only changing it, but saying that if I have anything negative or if I disagree with it, you're ganged up on and called a racist or a homophobic or a sexist. And that is so lazy, in my opinion, that I'm showing an exactly extreme example of how it goes both ways. Because here I am, as a straight white male, I would never want to see Wonder Woman portrayed as a man. So does that mean I hate men now? And if you put it logically, it makes perfect sense. So I don't want to see... And this is a prime example. I mean, I love Miles Morales. I've made no mistake about mentioning that. But I don't love him if he replaces Peter Parker and Peter Parker no longer exists and say, oh, by the way, the Spider-Man that you've loved since the 60s, he's no longer that person. He's now Miles Morales. I don't care if it was an alien. I don't care if it was a woman. I don't care if all of a sudden it's a dog. I don't like the fact that they're changing something, and if you disagree with it, all of a sudden you're the bad guy. You're a Nazi or a racist. That is just group thought and group pressure instead of individual logical thinking. And that's very dangerous, because there are people becoming very violent for their own opinion. And I was listening to a video earlier today, I don't remember what it was, but somebody was making some very critical points, and then they said one thing that I don't think they really thought about. And they was talking about people having a wrong opinion, which is an oxymoron if you think about it, because there is no wrong opinion. You may have a disagreement with somebody's opinion, but if you have an opinion, it is never wrong. It may be disagreeable, it may be something people may not like, but if you have an opinion, then it's always right. It's just what other people would perceive it to be right or wrong. So I thought that was kind of an oxymoronic statement where somebody said that there are wrong opinions. There's no such thing as a wrong opinion. So that's why I'm making this, but I want to make sure it's not just a double standard. Because like I show in this picture, I don't want to spend money on Wonder Woman, who I grew up as a white female, to now all of a sudden be this white male. So does that mean I have a problem with white people now? Or I have a problem with men? You see how when you turn it around, how ridiculous it really seems? I think people are just so afraid to speak their mind nowadays for fear of being bullied or attacked, that I think the only way you can overcome that is by showing the ridiculousness of how silly and crazy and dangerous we are headed down, the road that we are headed down. But you have to be consistent. Like for me, Black Panther, he is an African-American character. That's how he started. That's how people knew him from the 70s. I don't want them 20 years from now to reboot it with a quote-unquote fresh new idea where they just take the same movie and now put in a white female or a Chinese male or a person from India who's a transgender. That to me is just lazy writing. And it's going to make people angry because you cannot take something you love and change it. Take a movie like Star Wars and do what you've done to it and look at how many people are angry. Now, they're not racists. I'm sure there are some. They're not all sexist, although I'm sure there's some. They're not all homophobic, although there may be some. Maybe somebody just didn't like it because it was lazy writing, poor writing, a political agenda that many people are smart enough to see is not what they want. And then to have them insult you and have people gang up on you, that is true fascism/Nazism. Because we use that word very lightly these days with people. If you disagree with somebody now, you're automatically a Nazi. And I think people need to check history to see what a true Nazi was capable of. before we start pointing somebody out that they didn't like a character in a movie or have a different political point of view, comparing it to something so heinous. Because then you take away its meaning. And that is just not smart. So, like I said, prime example, and Monk's Den says it, I think Miles Morales, Silk, etc. are great characters. Yes. So you can have, if you want to have strong female characters, well, the best way to make everybody happy is to stop taking established male characters and changing them into women to make women happy but men to be mad. Why don't you just do like they did? Make a character like Silk, where it's a strong female character that is its own character. So you're not just taking something that's already established and turning it into something new. That to me is one of the reasons, and it's ironic because I'm a karaoke DJ, I hate when people take an old song and then just add new lyrics to it and then it becomes a hit. The older people like it because, oh, that's nostalgia. And the newer people like it because they're told to like it. So you have to be both ways. You have to be consistent. Because if you have an argument for only one part of the spectrum, but you ignore the other because it goes against your political or whatever belief system, then you're being a hypocrite. And many people are afraid to make a video like this. Now, I'm used to my trolls thumbing down my videos regardless. I hold it as a badge of honor. That's why you'll never see the comments, you know, disabled, or the thumbs up and thumbs down disabled. I show it because it shows how easily I can trigger them without them being smart enough to realize it. That's why somebody right now from hearing that is thumbing down the video, because I've triggered them. I find that easy. But at least I'm very consistent with my belief system. So I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, you can't change Spider-Man, but you can change Wonder Woman. No. And again, if somebody, like, for example, Black Panther gets changed to a white male, I will have a problem with it. That doesn't mean I hate white people and I hate men. It just means that the character that we knew since its beginning was an African American. So does that make me a racist when I have both sides of the coin? I don't want to see Tony Stark become an African American female, and I don't want to see Black Panther become a white male. So how can you call me a racist? Or a homophobic, or a sexist, if I'm making both points very clear that both are wrong? So if you want to make, like, for example, instead of calling a movie Ocean's 8, where they are basically saying, here's a movie that you love that were all male characters, and now we're going to do it and use the brand name for nostalgia to get the people to follow, but now, instead of all men, it's now all women. That's just lazy writing. Why didn't you just make a kind of movie? Because Hollywood does it all the time. They just regurgitate somebody else's genius and makes their own film. Why didn't they just make a film where they had 8 women trying to solve some kind of crime and named it something else? Then you'd have women say, wow, look, I have characters that I can emulate and love, but it's my own franchise, not just stealing from somebody else's. Same thing with Ghostbusters. There are plenty of movies that have people chasing ghosts or being scared by ghosts. So why did you have to call it Ghostbusters? It's because it's political, and they use the media to show that. And if you don't understand that, how many women in your lifetime have you known that have based their beauty off of what they've seen on a magazine? That they didn't feel they were good enough because they didn't match these slim models that starved themselves to death and call it quote-unquote beautiful. How many women said they didn't like their appearance, not because they felt that way or grew up that way, it's because a magazine told them how to look to be beautiful. People don't understand that this stuff is done to change your ideas and your concepts and your thoughts and your beliefs through entertainment. So you can have both strong male characters and both strong female characters. But if you take one and just change the gender or the sex and say that is edgy, then I'm sorry, you're wrong. You can have your cake and eat it too. You don't have to step on somebody else's cake and smash it and pee all over it and then make fun of them when they decide they don't want to eat it because it's gross. But that's what Hollywood and the media are doing to people. Why do you think people are so divisive now? There are people on YouTube right now that are thumbing down my video because they hate me simply for the fact that I think differently from them. I've never stolen from them. I've never abused them. I've never punched any of them. And yet there are people who will hate me because I think differently from them. Think about that for a moment. Think about what we are turning into as a nation, where these people who create violence because your ideas are different from theirs are calling the people with different ideas Nazis and fascists. Is that not the definition of irony? Like the people even in the comic book community, they get mad at me. Now, I'm not saying everybody, but the select few get mad at me for my choice to do what I want with my comics. Now, isn't it a dictatorship when somebody tells you what you can do with your things? Isn't it a democracy for people to have freedom of choice to do what they want? Because remember, ladies and gentlemen, in this country, we did not start out as a democracy. We actually started out as a republic. And that's why it doesn't say, and to the democracy for which it stands. It says, to the republic. But even with that, these people that are trying to tell you how to collect, whether it's right or wrong in their eyes, that's true Nazism, that's true socialism, that's true fascism, that's true dictatorship. A democracy is you collect the way you want, I collect the way I want. And we may not agree, but I'm not going to stop you as long as you're not infringing on my rights or causing harm. But there are some people that use their emotions to be angry. So I implore those haters to thumb down my video. Prove my point. I made a point the other day of how easy it is to trigger them. That video has like 20 thumbs down. They prove my point of how they are lazy, using emotions and using fascist techniques to make their agenda known. Like I care about what somebody else's opinion is of me collecting wrong. Getting mad that I made an opinion about Stan Lee's signatures not being worth much when it gets flooded in the market. Go look at the 20 plus thumbs down on a video that is speaking logic and common sense. Those 20 thumbs down are from cowards too afraid to show who they are, proving my point that they use fascist techniques to try and scare people or intimidate people into their belief system. That's the country you want? Think about that, ladies and gentlemen. There are people, and I'm not talking about any other part of YouTube, I'm just associating with the comic book community. There are elitists in the comic book community that feel it is their need to gang up and bully other people through intimidation and insult if you do not collect the same way they do. And they call people like us racists and homophobics and the Nazis. Do they not realize how dumb and how backwards it is? So I want to be consistent in both ways. I don't want Batman to become a woman because you notice there is a female character called Batwoman. And people love her. And they didn't have to rob the people who love Batman from their character. You have the right to love whoever you want. And you have the right to be upset if all of a sudden they change it. Look at what Coke did with New Coke back in the 80s. All of a sudden, they took old Coke and they made a new Coke, and people were outraged. So does that mean people were soda-phobic? No, they just were used to a thing being a certain thing, and then all of a sudden it changed into something it wasn't, and people reacted because they didn't like the change. That is human nature. Have your birthday come around and get used to having ice cream cake every year, and then all of a sudden, one birthday, you get broccoli with a candle on it, and tell me you're going to sit there with the same smile on your face as you did with all the birthday cakes that you look forward to every birthday. Does that mean you hate vegetables, or you hate the person that gave you those vegetables? No, it's just you're used to a certain thing, and now all of a sudden it is different. So just imagine if you were a kid, and you loved your birthday cake. It was a ice cream cake, let's say from Carvel. And if you're from New York, you know who Carvel is. And you get a birthday cake every year. It's your favorite ice cream. You get vanilla, you get half chocolate, you get those little crunchies in the middle. You love it. And then after 10 years, on your 11th year, you get a pile of dog poop with a candle on it. And you're sitting there dumbfounded. Well, What is this? Where's my ice cream cake? And just imagine the person that handed you that poop sandwich attacks you and gangs up on you and has the whole family make fun of you. What do you mean you don't like poop sandwiches? How dare you? We all wanted this. We made this for you. Now eat it, and don't complain while you eat it. Sit there like a good dog and do what we tell you. Otherwise, there's something wrong with you. You notice how stupid that sounds? Now apply that to movies. And it's funny because if I hit OK on this right now, my video is about to go down. What a surprise that YouTube, the only time I talk about social justice warrior BS and make logical points, they want to shut my stream down. Ever see that happen anytime I've ever made a comic book video? It happens on my Truther channel, and I've been doing that since 2011. What a surprise. I'm sure it's just a coincidence. So I won't hit the OK button because it'll shut down the live feed. And I guarantee you, and I hope I'm wrong, but I guarantee you YouTube will flag this video as inappropriate, demonetize it, which makes it more difficult for the message to get out because they don't like people that critically think against their agenda. So, I don't have a problem with female characters. How many of you have seen me talk about Spider-Gwen? How much I love that character. I have no problem with Wonder Woman. I saw the Wonder Woman movie. I thought it was okay. I like Harley Quinn. But I wouldn't like Harley Quinn if that was the Joker and they said, oh, the Joker that you've known since the 1930s, he no longer exists. It's now a woman. Just like if the original Joker was a woman since the 1930s and all of a sudden the Joker is now a man, I would have a problem with that. It's called consistency. But the people with an agenda, they don't want to hear logic. They don't want to hear consistency. They want to say, my side is right, and whatever you say that is opposite, you're a Nazi, you're a racist, you're a homophobic. How could you not like this character? What, do you hate women? No. And Corey Maxwell, anybody that ever does this, I'm going to make sure I read it, because first of all, it points itself out. But if anybody ever does one of the Super Chats, and believe me, you don't have to do it, I'm going to read this out. So Corey Maxwell, and thank you for that, says, you're awesome. I love when you go off. Hope this makes you happy. Actually, it does. Just the thought of that. But my point is, people are now so afraid, and the bullies are calling the people who think logically Nazis. People like Antifa, which is supposed to be anti-fascism, use fascist techniques by bullying and attacking and physically causing harm to people who just think differently. That is a dangerous road we are headed down. So it's more than just movies, more than just comics. It is elitists in Hollywood and in the media who think they are better than you. And like I've said, even in the comic book industry, who they fool you all the time by telling you they love the comics just as much as you do, even though they are run by corporate stockholders who are the real ones that make those movies and comic books possible and only care about the financial dollar, are changing the characters that you love for an agenda and a purpose. And if you disagree, you are labeled as a Nazi and ganged up on. And that is a very dangerous road. And if somebody wants to hate me for speaking the truth, then you, congratulations, are the true Nazi. So I pray that my haters thumb down this video. Prove my point of the elitists even in comic books. And I will continue to speak the truth. I will continue to share my opinion and have a right to have an opinion. Just because you don't like it or agree with it does not devaluate it. My opinion is just as valid as yours, even if you disagree. But here's the difference. I don't go to your channel and abuse your right to have your freedom because I believe in a free society, not a totalitarianistic society or a fascist society where somebody or a group of somebodies tells you how to think. That's dangerous. And there are some people that climb on board these little gang-up trains and think that's okay. And that's why you're going to see how ridiculous this image is on the screen, because that's what it's all about. I don't want to ever see Wonder Woman played by a man. But Hollywood would say, I hate men. Now, this person is clearly a white man. I am also a white man. So show me that I'm a racist if I don't want to see a white man become a white female character. Prove to them through logic, not your emotion, that I am now a racist. But if I said I have a problem with all of a sudden a character becoming a black person or a male character becoming a woman, then they automatically will label me a racist or a sexist. You see how stupid that is, and people are continually falling for it? Here's the beautiful thing. Once you know a trick, they cannot amaze you with that trick anymore. This is all an illusion for stupid people. But once you get it, you're no longer stupid. And it's okay, because we were all once stupid. I certainly was. But then I stopped listening to people telling me how to think, how to believe, what to like. I have the right to like something that you don't. And if you want to attack me because I like something you don't, then you are the Nazi. You are the fascist. You are the hypocrite. And that's why you need massive amount of people to high-five you and pat you on the back to justify your insecurity that you need to fulfill through others while I stand alone. That is why my haters hate me, because I am what they never could be. I love triggering them. Watch the thumbs down. Watch the people that are so obsessed with me that they cannot stay away from my channel. As they thumb down my video, showing YouTube the extra traffic that I get that will build up my channel. That's why I got 4,000 subscribers less than a week ago. I'm currently close to 4,300 at this point. So in a couple of days, I've gotten 300 more subscribers. Because for every one hater who cannot think other than what other people program them to think, I get 700 people who can actually think for themselves. That's why for 20 thumbs down on a video, I don't worry, because there was over 100 thumbs up. So the majority are telling me, and the only way I will ever have a video where thumbs down is more than thumbs up is if all of a sudden they all gang up and say, you know what, we're going to teach Chris a lesson, and we're going to all manually thumb down every video. What do I care? If that's what you need to do, then you don't have much of a life. So many people have said, oh, you should stay away from this stuff. No, I love now doing this. I am returning the favor to these bullies. Bullies are only bullies when people don't stand up to them and defend your honor from them. There are bullies in all sorts of life. The trolls that troll my channel on a comic book channel are flat-out bullies. Too cowardly to come out and admit it, because I promise you, if you made a I hate We Love Comics video and just said you hate me and can't come up with a logical reason, I guarantee you, you would have to disable your comments and shut off your thumbs up and thumbs down, because people wouldn't fall for your stupidity. I see it all the time. So if you want this trend to continue, where the things that you love all of a sudden change into something that you're not familiar with, and then on top of it, you're not allowed to disagree, because if you do, you're insulted. If you want to keep pumping money into those industries, then don't complain about them. After what I saw with Dan Harmon, I made a video that talked about how a grown man should not be pulling his pants and underwear down, straddling a baby doll, and imitating fornicating with that baby doll as appropriate. And it has the most thumbs down on any video I've ever had. It's got, I think, like 120 to 150 thumbs down. So between 120 and 150 people thought that it was appropriate for a grown man to pull his pants and underwear down, straddle a baby doll, and imitate fornication. Is that the society you want? And I'm supposedly, according to the minority of people in the comic book quote-unquote community, as the troublemaker, as the problem. Really? You might want to look in the mirror. And I guarantee you, some of the things I talked about with not wanting to see a white man play Wonder Woman, I guarantee you even they will agree with, because they are so emotionally attached to their hatred towards me, they cannot hear logic. They're in their own little bubble where they need to be patted and petted and thanked for their bravery as they hide behind their computer screen. That's the true Nazi. That's the true fascist. Antifa, Black Lives Matter, these extreme leftist feminist movements, The third wave feminists are what is destroying the characters and the movies and the livelihood that we know. Just look in the streets. How divided are we? It's okay to have a different opinion. It's not okay to hide it for fear of being abused for it. I don't care if I get ganged up on. I'm showing my belief. Do you know if you go into a court and you tell them that you believe something, they cannot get you in trouble for it because they cannot arrest you or hold you in contempt for a belief? Because you're entitled and allowed to have your own opinion. Doesn't mean it's right. And everybody can disagree, but the day you stay silent for fear of other people ganging up on you for your own beliefs means you're not strong enough to keep your beliefs sacred. And I will be damned if I let some cowards on the internet control me through fear and intimidation and have the nerve to call somebody like me who does that a Nazi. Look at the people in Hollywood. They talk about, oh, we need to open the borders, right? How many of those borders are being opened up in their elitist, Hollywooded, gated communities? How many of them moving in with people like Robert De Niro and all these people that preach all this stuff, but they want them nowhere near them? So you want a bunch of extremely wealthy people tell you how to live, looking down at you constantly, insulting you for your right to have an opinion because you don't have the same amount of paper dollars as they do in their bank accounts. So they know better. So they know that they can ram a female Ghostbusters down your throat and attack you for not liking it. Because for some reason you're not allowed to have an opinion. And because you didn't like it, you're automatically a homophobic. Or a racist or a sexist. Well, I love women. I married one. I think one of the best movies I've ever seen in my lifetime was the second Alien movie, Aliens. It was a female character-run story. She was brave. She was tough. It was an entertaining movie from beginning to end. But they didn't ram it down my throat and make me feel like I'm stupid because I'm just a male and I'm just a white male. Stop it, people. Grow up, some of you. And I'm not talking about the ones that are here for the right reasons. The few bad apples that trying so hard to spoil the tree. And remember, you only need to drop one little bit of poison into a tree to kill that entire tree. That's what the media, and that's what even the comic book community and the people that sell you the comic books and run the Hollywood movies are doing. By their deeds, you shall know them. Don't go by what they say. They tweet. I mean, like a prime example. And this really upsets me. Roseanne Barr, who is a conservative, a right-winger. Now, I'm not right or left. I don't believe in being pigeonholed in any one direction. I'm three-dimensional, not one-dimensional. But she's considered a conservative, a person on the right. She posted a joke tweet about a politician looking like one of the monkeys in Planet of the Apes. Is that appropriate? Probably not. Probably shouldn't have been said. Probably a very dumb thing. But she had the right to say it. But she got fired instantly. Outrage all over the media. James Gunn has years of tweets saying how he wants to have sex with young children. How he masturbated to a 15-year-old Justin Bieber. Repeatedly. And there are people out on YouTube that will say, oh, controversial tweets. Which means they are more concerned about their views and pandering to their audience than to have principles and integrity. And there is right now, there is a government petition where there are over 100,000 people that want to get James Gunn his job back. So Roseanne, there was an outrage, and again, just a joke. May not be an appropriate joke. I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying you can't say one's a joke and the other one is okay. So now, anything James Gunn does, I will not spend a dime on. And now the cast of Guardians of the Galaxy are trying to petition to get his job back. So they want what could be a potential pedophile to continue making child movies. These elitists are telling you how to think. And somebody like me who stands up for it will get attacked for it. But I say bring it on. And if you want real change, if you want to have your ability to think for yourself and have your own right to an opinion and be able to not like something, let me tell you something. I'm a Sicilian Italian. I grew up with pasta. I love pasta. If all of a sudden my raviolis became squash, I would have a problem with it. But that doesn't mean I want squash banned for everybody else. It doesn't mean I'm going to hate you if you like squash. It just means I don't like it. Why is that not okay? I don't understand the mentality. And we need more people to speak their mind and stop being afraid of these gangs that need all of their energy to attack one. Because you notice I don't have anybody else on a live chat that I need to pat me on the back saying, Chris, what a great job. But you notice some of my haters, they'll have to have a panel of 6 or 7 people all agreeing with them. Oh yeah, we got to get on We Love Comics. Just a regular human that collects comic books and has his right to an opinion. We need to attack him because he's the enemy of the quote-unquote comic book community. Really? How old are some of these people? Some of them I've never talked to in my life. Some of them I used to have on my channel and welcome them with open arms. What a bunch of hypocrites. So this is going to be a fun video. I cannot wait to see the thumbs down. You'll notice those people that thumb down will never leave a constructive comment and saying, you know what, here's why I thumbed down your video, and give a logical explanation. What they will do is insult my weight, insult my hair, insult my personality, whatever. Gee, sticks and stones. The ironic part is I was dumb enough to let it affect me when I shut the channel down in 2016. I'll never make that mistake again. And like I say in my videos, when you learn from your mistakes and you improve yourself, then they weren't really mistakes, they were learning lessons. So I challenge my trolls. Make a video, instead of just saying I hate Chris, come up with some logical reasons why you hate me that give a justification for hate, because that's a pretty strong word. If you don't like the way I collect and you hate me as a human being and wish me harm because I don't collect DC as much, or I have a difference of opinion about the value of Stan Lee's signatures, you need therapy and some form of medication, plain and simple. And I challenge you to make a logical video where you don't disable the comments, you don't disable the thumbs up and thumbs down, and you let even my subscribers come in and listen and be able to share their honest opinion about what you had to say about why I am supposedly Satan of the comic book community, according to some. They hate logic because true fascism hates free thinking. Why do you think the media does not do investigative reporting? They share opinions and they use bully tactics if you go against what they say. Not everything is a Russian conspiracy. Not everybody that voted for Trump is a white nationalist Nazi. That's just dumb. What's even dumber is the people that believe in that nonsense. And I will quote Star Wars because I loved Star Wars as a kid, and I could probably quote 99% of it. When they were hiding out in the Millennium Falcon in the first original Star Wars because they got pulled in by a tractor beam into the Death Star, and they didn't want to get caught because they knew the stormtroopers were going to come in and try and find life on that ship, they all hid in his smuggling storage compartments. And when the stormtroopers left, not finding any bodies, thinking they jettisoned them before they arrived on the planet, they come out of those storage facilities, and Han Solo says, "This is foolish," because he wanted to go in with guns a-blazing. That would have went well. And Ben Kenobi said, and I quote, "What is more foolish, the fool or the fool who follows him?" We got a lot of fools out there in this world who follow fools. So who's more foolish? Think about that. So, to those of you who are here for the right reasons, to those who are here for logical and critical thinking, you will not view me as the enemy. You will not see anything that I said other than the truth. And I would love to see what you can hate for me for having my right to an opinion, even if everything I said was complete BS or completely wrong, or you completely disagreed with it. Are you telling me in a democracy I don't have the right to my opinion, and I should be bullied on or ganged up on or attacked or insulted or even physically harmed for it? That's not the country I want to live in. And it's definitely People pointing their fingers in the wrong direction. So, if Hollywood wants to show they have true integrity, then make a Wonder Woman movie and star that gentleman as the leading role, and watch every leftist feminist and every leftist Hollywood elitist tell you how unbelievably wrong it is for them to do it. They will never do it because they show their true colors through their hypocrisy. Unfortunately, they've bullied people enough to be afraid to speak their mind. Well, in this video, you will see that is not the case with me. And too bad if you don't like it. Too bad if it hurts your feelings. Too bad if my getting you to see how easily I control you and anger you makes you mad. Poor, poor baby. To the rest of you, I thank you so much for listening to this. We need more people. And Corey Maxwell says, F the haters. You ever see some of my haters? They are definitely uneffable. Trust me. So I guess I'm a body shamer now, too. So there you go. They have another tool against me. Freedom of speech means you can say things that people may not like. That's what freedom of speech is. The day you silence people's right to have their own opinion, whether you believe in it or like it or not, is the day that democracy dies. That's a very dangerous game for what is the greatest country in the world because it was the greatest experiment. Whether you like that or not, there's a reason why more people come to America than any other country in the world. I don't see people lining up going into China and Mexico and Russia and Iran and even France now. I have nothing wrong with French or France, but look at the problems they have that the media doesn't talk about. You're causing your own demise for being afraid to speak out. And I'm going to leave you with this quote. Evil thrives when good men do nothing. But we can even update that now. Evil thrives when good people do or say nothing. Don't let these people win. And if you think it's just a simple case of changing a comic book character or changing a movie character as a no big deal thing, then you cannot see the bigger image of what is really going on. So I gave my freedom of speech in this. You could totally disagree, you could totally not like it, but just revel in the fact we have the freedom to say it. And we're going to lose that really quick because there are bullies out there that feel the need to tell you what you do and think and believe in are wrong because it differs from them. What makes them right? Talk about hypocrisy. So thanks for watching. Give this a thumbs up if you appreciate free speech, if you appreciate true democracy, and you are sick and tired of bullies that are actually using fascist statements and tactics to tell you how to live and insult you for having the right to your own opinion. This is more than just Hollywood movies. This is more than just comic book characters. I hope you can see it. So thanks for taking the time to listen, and to my trolls who are going to thumb down this video, yep, I'm a 47-year-old man that just gave you a raspberry over the internet. Go cry in your safe space.